Hello, you gorgeous, sexy person. So good to see you again, and welcome back to another one of my list of relationship tips, and just jumping in and talking a bit more about this time communication. And the title of that tip, or the tip was, remember way back when I shared it, it was keep talking, never close the communication lines. And it seems like such an obvious thing, but at the same time, I'm afraid that a lot of us do just that. When we get so frustrated or so angry or so afraid of what might come up when we start discussing something, that we actually don't talk and we don't share what's going on. And I know that it's scary, and I know that sometimes it's not scary, but sometimes it's like an effort you don't really want to put in anymore, or any kind of niggly feeling that is blocking you from going on the journey of sharing and speaking and finding your partner again in this bond, in this relationship. That's when you really need to check in with yourself and say, well, why is that? And do I still want to go on with this relationship? Because that is not a way to go forward in silence and in keeping grudges and staying shut down to each other. There is no such thing as closeness, as being together, as being bonded. So you might as well, give it a shot and try having a bit of communication happening. And so when you do, it might be a thing to set some rules together. So, and the rules could be really simple, as in, you might actually agree that you set a time to discuss a certain subject. So you also decide together, what is it that we need to be talking about? And what are we not talking about? What are we leaving out of this conversation? So that it's very clear what it is that you both want to be talking about. And it's framed. There's a framework for it. The other thing you might want to think about also is setting a time allows you to find a place where both of you, have the time and the peace to do it, but also it can also allow you to already have a think beforehand about how you feel about this or what's been coming up regarding that subject for you. And another thing is that you can make sure that other stuff is not on your mind at that particular point in time. Yeah, okay. Ooh, is it making sense? I'm doing like list things. I love lists. Oh my God. So, right. I'm checking my notes here. So basically it's about mentally preparing yourself for this, mentally and emotionally preparing yourself for this conversation. And then when you're there, also make sure that both of you agree on the intent of this discussion. So is it just to clear the air? Is it so that you will find a solution? Is it that you need to have a clearer understanding of what's going on? What is it that you're trying to find out having this discussion? It could really help you with being clear about what kind of questions are asked and where you want to end up with this conversation. Yeah. So it's not so much setting a goal as it is setting an intent. Because you might find out once you're there that, something else comes up, or there's another resolution, or you come to a place where you feel, completely fine with it and you don't want to be talking about it anymore and you just want to have sex or whatever. Great, whatever. Okay. Do what you want to discuss. Right. What can happen, and I know you know this, what can happen when you have one of these discussions is that lots of stuff gets dragged in, or not so much dragged in, but it comes up while you're having this discussion. And you've set this framework beforehand. And if it doesn't fit in the framework, if you feel that it's not adding to this discussion, or it's not something that can really help in coming to the current resolution or intent, whatever intent you set, then recognize what's being said, and both of you agree to park it for now and to come back to that, either after you've closed this conversation or at another point in time. Write it down. Make sure that both of you know that this is an agreement. And I know all of this sounds very businesslike and not very loving, but it takes work, this relationship stuff, and it takes some consciousness and some clarity, and some honesty about all of this stuff. So, that's why I'm suggesting that you might want to be doing this. Okie dokie. And I know you know this about communication, but I'm going to go and say it anyway. A lot of this is about listening. Because a lot of us are listening in just to make sure that we find a very smart remark, or we're checking in with ourselves while the other is talking. How do we feel about that? What do I want to know about that? Or what do I want to counter that when we're having a discussion model where one of us wants to be the winner in this discussion? Well, you know what? What needs to come out as the winner here is your relationship. Nothing more, nothing less. So, try listening. Try trusting yourself that whatever you need to say or you need to share will be there when the time comes for you to speak. And in the meantime, listen. Try not to be judgy or clouded by your own thoughts and feelings that are coming up and that are filtering whatever's happening. And I know that you think that you have the solution or the only real insight into this, or you hold the truth. This may well be true, but it might not be your partner's truth or your partner's solution or your partner's understanding of this conversation. Listening. It is such a beautiful skill once you really try and get it. Oh, hello, viewer. Thank you. Try to understand that both of you may have really different communication needs. So what I find really funny is that I have this with some of my partners, is that I'm pretty black and white. So at some point I'm kind of, okay, I think we've discussed this now, let's move on. And they're like, well, I haven't quite. And I know a lot of you will say, well, that's very feminine. A lot of women want to keep talking. Nah. It really is about a person's personal communication preferences. And some of us want to really, really dig into a subject and really bring out everything and discuss it at length. And some of you are more concise. Some of you may say, okay, we've touched on it. Now I need some thinking time. I need to kind of digest this for a little bit and then come back to you. And just understand that that's not a judgment of your type of communication. It's just that this is what your partner needs. And also understand this from yourself. If this is what you need, then make this clear to your partner. It will really allow your discussion to be more at a level where you feel comfortable with really expressing yourself, and that you felt that you've really shared everything you want to share about it, and that you've heard everything that your partner needs to say about it. Yeah. Okay. And then all this talking and the conversation and the discussion and even arguing, arguing can be really good. It can really clear the air. I know a lot of us say, oh, I never argue. Well, good for you. Some of us love a good old argument. And then afterwards, after any conversation, after anything that needs to have been spoken, make sure you end it with a loving gesture. That could be a hug, that could be more words. It could be that you decide to go on a date together. It could be making out. It could be anything. But make sure that you come together again as a couple, because that was the purpose anyway of having the discussion, of making sure that you sat down together and to clear the air. So have it be ended with something beautiful and loving and something that both of you feel very cherished in. Okay. Oh, yeah, I know I say this a lot, but I want to just touch on one last thing. Because I always say, be honest and be open-minded and blah, blah, blah. You know what? Honesty doesn't mean that you need to be cruel. So honesty still means that you need to be mindful of the way you say things, mindful of the way you understand and hear things. So use all the techniques that are out there, Try to make sure that your partner really feels heard maybe by summarizing and saying, did I really understand you right? And have you really said this? Or am I misunderstanding it? Could you clarify this or the other for me? And choose your words carefully and lovingly. Keep in mind that this is not a competition about who says the smartest things or has won this discussion. The relationship is what you're focused on, and that needs to be the winner. So it's not about egos and all that crap. This is about love and about the intention to go on together as a loving couple. All right, that's it for now. I know you want to be going and having dinner or whatever it is that you're planning for tonight. Love you all. Take care of yourself.